Hey, I just met you, and this is crazy, but I fucking hate you. So kill yourself. The I heard someone in my building singing that song, and so now, of course, it's in my head. Love that. Love that for me. That's what the young people say, isn't it? Oh, love that for me. I prefer it for other people. I don't know. Do you know what else has been in my head? I keep saying "unga bunga" to myself, just again and again and again and again, which is from the old Sega Mega Drive video game Chuck Rock, the caveman, and he goes "unga bunga." Have you seen? Did you play that one? Have you seen this? Have you seen this? Have you heard about this? Have you seen that? Did you play that? Chuck Rock. You're a caveman and you go around and you chuck rocks, kill dinosaurs, and the theme is what the fuck am I doing? It's the 21st century, 22nd, 20. It's 2022. Chuck Rock theme. That's what we're doing. It's the future. Let's put the fucking music on the internet. Yeah, all right. Jesus. Go on and on with that shit. Maybe I should do that. Maybe that'll be... Oh, excuse me. Because I noticed old video game music, like old Sega Mega Drive games and such, don't tend to get copyright notices when I use them in videos. So that's something I can stay aware of. So I could do like a weekly, this week's old video game music of the week is, in this instance, Chuck Rock or fucking, whatever I decide. It doesn't beat, I know I've played it like a squillion times. I put it in my my video of making my 24-hour comic. I can't type and talk at the same time because I start typing the words that I'm saying and saying the words that I'm typing. This is fucking silly. Yeah, anyway, so that's... I have had Unga Bunga just in my head a lot lately, is what I was saying. That's the point I was endeavouring vast deference to make. Vas deferens. See, that's part of the penis. I think, is that... Let's Google thing. Vas deferens. It's the... Also called ductus deferens, also called vas deferens, is a thick-walled tube in the male reproductive system that transports sperm cells from the epididymis, where the sperm are stored prior to ejaculation. Each ductus deferens ends in an enlarged portion, an ampulla, which acts as a reservoir. Ooh, my testicular reservoir. My male reproductive reservoir. Stick that in your reservoir and come. I don't know why I was talking about vas deferens. That's weird. What are you drawing today, Ewan? Well, do you know Beast Wreck? I fucking love Beast Wreck. His drawings are insane. They're so good. Beast Wreck on Instagram. Check him out if you don't know him already. He's fucking good. He does these shape challenges where he draws like a random shape, like that, and it puts it up, and then the game is to fill in the shape, draw something in that shape, and a bunch of people do it, and I've done a few, and he does one, and they're good, and his drawings are really, really good. They're so they're like this, but they're like his line work is so like bold and on point, and he's still like it. His line work's really bold, but his work doesn't feel stiff because of it, which can happen sometimes. There's a lot of life in his drawings, and there's not like crazy brushwork, which you see in some drawings, which is sort of almost an easy way to give life to a drawing by doing like big expressive brushstrokes. They're all very sort of calculated. He takes his time with it, but it's still, he has a lot of life in his work, and his colouring's really good, and his characters, and he does like almost like visual puns, like a Misfits t-shirt with the skull, but instead of Misfits it says Muppets, and the skull looks like a Muppet's face because it's got like googly eyes or whatever. Stuff like that is quite funny. Or Kool-Aid, the Kool-Aid Man, but it's got like tentacles on its face, and it's Cthulhu-Aid, like a Cthulhu Kool-Aid, like that whole you get it. Yeah, he's good, but he did a draw this in your style challenge, and he put a thing on his Instagram story saying, what would you rather see next, another shape challenge or a draw this in your style challenge? And I voted, which I rarely take part in people's like story votes and things, because I prefer to watch and not take part. I just sit in the background masturbating myself to death, masturbating the skin away from my penis until my vas deferens is exposed. Oh, boom! Callback to like a minute ago. And I voted that he should do a draw this in your style challenge, because I thought, hey, that would be cool if Beast Wreck did a DTIYS, a Dictius challenge. And then he put one up, and he even went as far as to comment on his post that he put up, being like, "Oi, Ewan, prick, you voted for this." He didn't actually go in. He was like, Ewan, fucking let's go. Get in on this, you bastard. No, he seems like a really, really fucking decent stand-up guy, and I'd love to hang out with him sometime, have a little chat and whatnot. He lives in America somewhere with his son and partner. And yeah, really, really cool seeming guy. And so yeah, it's like I say, I voted that he should draw this in style challenge. So I'm drawing my. I'll put up. I'll edit in the challenge. If I haven't already, I will put in here. How many minutes? We're 9 minutes into my recording. Yep. I'll put up the original, and so you can see. And mine isn't too different. I had a couple of like. I was going to do it all in like red ballpoint and then yellow and orange ballpoint and make it all ballpoint, but like I was in danger of having it look almost too similar to his, Well, I didn't want it to look like just a copy of his, which, you know, it's maybe in my style, but it's still just a copy of his. So I figured if I made it pink and purple, then it looks more my style. Use the highlighter for the pink just because, and I'll use the pink and purple ballpoint pens, just so it looks like a Ewan drawing as opposed to I just copied someone else's drawing, which is essentially what I'm doing. But, you know, it's fucking whatever. It doesn't matter. Jesus, shut up. I'm aware. I feel like the last couple of podcast episodes have been. They felt a little bit. I don't know, like phoned in, or like I've just been. Because, you know, I mentioned how sometimes I really look forward to doing podcast episodes. And I think it depends. It completely depends on my day, how my day's going at that particular time. If I've had a particularly good day, and I'm like, oh, it's Thursday, it's podcast day. I like having Thursday as my podcast day. It's good. If people say, Ewan, do you want to hang out? Let's fucking do something. I'm like, sure, but not on a Thursday, you dumb bitch. It's my podcast day. That's the day I podcast. And then they go, you have a podcast. Or you some fucking Joe Rogan wannabe. And I'm like, yes, I love Joe Rogan. I don't actually. I fucking hate. Well, no, I don't hate the guy. I just don't care about the guy. There you go. There's my opinion on Joe Rogan. I just don't care. Which is a large portion of where my depression comes from. I don't care about things. I've lost desire. I have no desire in my life. Oh, it's great. I just don't care about things. Not in a I don't care, whatever, like a nihilistic way. Just in, if there's new things, I'm like, oh, hey, that's a thing that exists. Anyway, oh, fucking shut up, you. So yes, sometimes I do look forward to doing the podcast, but you know, like anything, that's an amount of energy that you can only really keep up for so long, or you know, in certain moods, or whatever. But I do feel that. Sometimes I do the podcast just because I feel like I have to. There are at least a few people that are like, you know, expect it. I'm sure those people will understand if I, you know, there's been weeks where I've not put out a podcast. And they're like, oh, no podcast this week, what's up? And I explain that I'm sad this week, so no podcast, I'm sorry. And they're like, oh, all right, that's fine. They understand. But I do feel like the last few, to me personally, have felt like, you know, I'm just sort of going through the motions of doing a podcast just because I feel like I have to, like I'm obligated, which, you know, I'm not really. It always feels a bit tricky since, you know, I have my Patreon that people do sign up, they pay for, and one of the main things you get from the Patreon is early releases of the podcast. And therefore, if I'm not doing the podcast, then those people who are paying aren't getting what they pay for. Jesus, I was going to talk about fun things, I swear. Point is, I think that's just how it goes. Because I know sometimes when I watch podcasts, sometimes there are episodes after I've watched it, I'm like, ha, that was a really good episode. And I'm like, that was fun. I like this podcast. This is a really fun little show, all the people involved. It's really cool. And then sometimes they're just not that. You come away after watching an episode and it's just sort of like, oh, well, that wasn't great. They weren't talking about anything I particularly enjoy. They had a guest on that I don't really care about, or maybe they just weren't, you know, on point this week. And it's, you know, it's easy from the outside to go like, oh, the show fucking sucked this week, what's up? But that's literally just how it goes, isn't it? Like, with drawings, you can't draw your best drawing all the time. You draw, you make shit, you do a podcast, whatever, and you put it out there. And, you know, you hope people enjoy it regardless of what you perceive the quality to be. But you have to understand that it's not always going to be the best. And I realised this quite some time ago about shows, like sitcoms and cartoons and things, where like I always found there were certain episodes I didn't really care for. And then on thinking about it sometime later, I realised, I think what it was, and this applies mainly, I guess it does apply to podcasts slightly, but it applies mainly just to like shows, where it tends to be, I really like the episodes that are based on, if you have the characters in the show, I like the episodes that are just the characters in the show in the setting that the characters are usually in. And then whenever you have an episode that steps outside of that takes the characters to like a different location, it's, oh, the characters are in Hawaii. Wow, what crazy antics are they going to get up to in Hawaii? This is madness. Whoa. Those episodes, they can still be good. They can still have funny moments and be well written and have, you know, drama or pathos or whatever. But I always come away from those sorts of episodes feeling a bit like meh about it all. And I pulled out some examples in my mind of that sort of thing. So like The Simpsons and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia are two particular ones I can think of. Simpsons because it's, you know, it's certainly the first bunch of seasons are a long-standing favourite of mine. And It's Always Sunny, recently I've been rewatching that again and again, so that's fresh in my head. It's one of those ones I'm quite happy to put on and just watch over and over while I draw or whatever. So in The Simpsons, there's certain episodes like the ones I can think of off the top of my head, for example, like when Homer goes to space is one of them, and like when the Simpsons go to Japan. You know, there's plenty of funny moments in those episodes, but they always feel a bit like lacking, because there's just something about, like, I watch the show and like the show for the characters, but then whenever the characters aren't really doing what the characters do, they're in another place doing different things. So I find the best episodes of like The Simpsons are when it's just the Simpsons in the Simpsons home having a Simpsons episode, or when it's just like Bart and Milhouse fucking about Springfield doing whatever. I love those episodes as opposed to, you know, like the Simpsons in Australia episode is a really good one. Lots and lots of funny moments. Mr. Prime Minister! Oi, Andy! All right, lads, what's the good word? That's my Australian accent. It feels like out of place and not quite as grand as, you know, other episodes. Personally, it's a personal taste thing, you know. And then, like, It's Always Sunny, they have episodes where there's the one where they're on the plane doing like the drinking game, drinking like the record-breaking number of beers on a flight or whatever. That's a bit of a meh episode in my mind. That's one I'll skip happily on the Netflix. That and there's one where they break into a house to steal a vase, and then the family who owns the house comes back, and so they're all sneaking around the house trying to get out, talking via walkie-talkies and stuff. And that whole thing, it just feels almost forced. Like, almost literally, like, what if we put the characters in this weird situation? And it's just like, meh. And for me, some of the best episodes, an obvious one is Charlie Work, which is Charlie Central, but it's literally the gang in the bar doing gang in the bar stuff. And it's one of the best episodes, hands down, just in general. But because it focuses on the group, and it has a lot of like group dynamics, and Charlie especially, his character, you know, relate to him because I'm a dirtbag. There's the Charlie Home Alone one, where it's the football game going on and Charlie gets left behind, so he's in the bar on his own, and there's like a whole Home Alone parody, which almost has a direct opposite with the subsequent episode is happening at the same time as that episode, where the rest of the gang is off at the stadium watching the football game, and that's all like, sure, but again, the gang's out doing something else, and it feels a bit meh in comparison. And then like the one where the gang tries to win an award, the Best Bar Award, and that's cool because it's got the whole sort of meta commentary on the show not winning an award at that point. I don't know if it has subsequently or not. Oh, I like the word subsequently all of a sudden, don't I? But that's a good one because it's, the gang, they leave the bar, but it's mostly in the bar, and it's about the bar, and it's about the gang. Those are the best episodes in my mind. That's what I like about the show, is the characters and the setting. So when they take away the setting and have the characters doing things that the characters might not normally do, it gets a bit meh. Which is not to say they shouldn't make, because you should keep making and creating, and if you have a funny idea for something, then of course do it. But my personal tastes are what I've just described. And that's, with podcasts. Obviously my podcasts, I can't use the excuse that I was trying something else and it didn't quite work. It's just I was having an off day, and so I wasn't as entertaining or funny as I almost always am usually. But yeah, you have bad episodes. But like everyone knows the sort of trope by now of bottle episodes, wherein it's like I think the phrase was coined because of it being like a ship in a bottle. It's all contained, because the shows have a certain amount of budget, so they put large amounts of budget towards certain episodes with different set pieces out in different locations, special effects and all kinds of things, more characters, more things going on, and then they have smaller amounts of the budget to go to smaller episodes where it's like one room and everyone's in it talking, and that's basically the episode, but it's well written enough, hopefully, that it remains entertaining. I really like those episodes. Frankly, they're some of my favourites, is when it's just the characters I enjoy being the characters I enjoy. And that's why some of the best films, as a film snob would tell you, are the slower, like character-driven movies, rather than the big spectacle, action-packed stuff that goes all over the place. They went to Dubai and they went to the big towers and they had helicopters and all this shit, and it's like, and that's why I always felt growing up, whenever films do like, if they have a successful film and then the next one, they've got to go bigger with it, so they go, now it's the characters in Hawaii or whatever it is. Those films always felt like a hit in the not a hit and a miss, a swing and a miss. A swing and a miss. They don't quite hit the mark on those on those shows, movies, episodes, whatever. I just feel a bit of loss on those. But that's my excuse as to why sometimes I might not have a good episode. Hey, I just met you. I fucking hate you. I'll cut your face off and I'll eat it. I'm just looking at another Slane comic, specifically a Glenn Fabry artisized Slane comic, because I like it. It's good. I like it. Like the black and white paintings, the grey scale. Love that shit. I've probably shown this comic a whole bunch of many times already, but I felt like looking through it again, and why not do that in the podcast? That guy looks like a Judge Dredd character. He's got the shoulder pads. Slane cracks him in the face. and he's just glad that his knuckles aren't hurt. Geesh. Love those quick panels. Again, like bottle episodes. You have I've probably talked about bottle episodes exactly in this context before as well. You have bigger panels you put more time and effort into, and then the smaller ones that don't really necessarily matter quite as much in terms of their visual impact. That's the underpainting. Underpainting there. Draw the face, paint a little bit, just enough so you can make it out. Simple backgrounds, single characters, nice and easy, silhouettes. And then you put the effort into this stuff, which again is still very simple. It might not have taken him that long to paint. There's not too many shades and things going on. Very simple background, a few skulls. But if that's the size of a page, you know, it's still going to take quite a while to paint. Love that. That's cool. This person that I assume is dead. Don't really know exactly what's going on. Really good way of painting it in black and white though. You get just the shiny bits and like strings of wetness, silhouette of the spine and hips and stuff. It's really cool. It works. It works. Kiss my axe. That's another issue with painting things so grounded in reality, I guess, is if I was going to do this, I'd make the foot huge. I'd do like foreshortening, have the foot be enormous and like all these swooshy lines and stuff. Whereas being the size it is there, it almost looks too small, but Glenn Fabry knows what he's doing. He was known for his anatomical stuff before his comic book stuff, so he knows what he's doing. But I love the chest muscles, the pectorals and the arm going backwards there. But it just almost looks a bit too small because of it being a comic book, but still realistic, quote unquote. Greg Staples. As far as I'm aware, Greg Staples was aware that he was becoming, or at least seen as, a Simon Bisley clone, which is easy to see. I think I probably even mistook his stuff for Simon Bisley's stuff, because that's almost identical to Simon Bisley's Slain. Got a very similar painted style. The profile heads are really quite Bisley-esque, and he's developed enough since this period, which again I believe is something he did consciously. He tried to develop his own style so he wasn't just seen as a Bisley clone or whatever. But you know, something like this is exactly something like Bisley would do, a big ape thing or whatever. But Greg Staples has done a lot of his own stuff. I'm not saying Greg Staples is just a Bisley clone, because I'm verging on that myself, you know. He's a very, very, very good artist. He does really good, if you look him up on Instagram, his paintings are like Judge Dredd, verging on photorealism. He's really, really, very, very good. But Glenn Fabry. Not sure about the design of this dragon. Its face looks a bit awkward. But, you know, you can be good at a lot of things, and maybe Glenn Fabry doesn't spend a lot of time designing dragons, so. But again, I'm not criticising. I'm just pointing out things that I notice as I look through something like this. I see that and I go, this looks a bit like. I'm not saying what's he doing? Piece of shit, can't even draw a good looking dragon. You know, I love this scene. Ukko the goblin. He's obviously wearing some kind of magic cursed collar that's choking him until he agrees to do what he's supposed to be doing. I think this is definitely some of those instances where think Fabry, I was going to call him Glenn then, like we're buddies, where he was looking in a mirror doing the faces. That's a really cool page. I love because this guy later on is blue, but it's really cool. Like the whole page is almost like sepia tone with bodies and stuff in the background. It's really, really well drawn, well painted, and I like the almost like torn paper insert panels. Love this. This mouth is the exact reason I picked up this book in the first place. Before I was even really aware that it was Glenn Fabry, this tongue and lower jaw, I loved that. So I got the book, and I love the small little guys, little paintings there. This face is cool, minimal colour with the underpainting, and you can see the drawing through it. That's really cool, like the warped berserk slain of the bulging single eye. The shape of the body and stuff, it's really cool. And, you know, Glenn Fabry can paint flesh very well, so he's done good there. Chopping fuckers up. Skull's really good, the detail on the cuff, the bracelet, gauntlet, whatever. Look at the trees, that's really, really well done. It looks like he's done a cross between stippling with a thicker brush and then blobs of paint in for the light in between the branches. It's good. Good stuff. Good show. Very nice. Delicious. I've not once read this. I don't know how many years I've had this book, but I've not once read it. So I really don't know quite why they're putting him in a cauldron that's actually like a well, like a hole into the ground. And then Ukko dives in after him. I don't know what the fuck's going on. But I remember this. I saw this in that Anatomy for Fantasy Artists book. This picture is in there. I saw that years and years and years ago. And then I saw it in this book and was like, oh shit, it's Slain. It's not just some guy, some barbarian guy. It's actually Slain. It's an actual thing. Look at the bulge there, man. There's some nice fucking anatomical artwork. Which is really this whole, like, it's almost expertly, you know, realised anatomy. All the muscles, creases and bumps and lumps. The leg muscles and shit. That's like a spot on fucking anatomical study or whatever. And the creases in between the muscles as well, because it's important to realise that six packs are very rarely just straight, you know, six lumps in the front of the body. There's like gaps in between them. They're not, or very rarely, completely symmetrical. So that's really fucking good. How's that for a quick panel? Fuck it, that'll do, that's fine. And it works, it carries on from this where they're like almost in shadow or whatever, and then just have them there, that carries through, with the red follows through as well, so that's all right. That's a really good page, colour-wise and like layout and stuff. Some more crazy, ridiculously good anatomy. The veins and shit. The stretching of the muscles, because that's one thing. Drawing a muscular leg kicking someone is one thing, but to make it look like the muscles are stretching as that leg's fucking pushing out, as the foot's like really pointed with the toes and all. That's so good. The creases in the feet are something that just are there on every foot, but like it's so easy to not put them in because you don't want to put too many lines on a drawing because it can overpower it or whatever. That's really fucking good. That's a cool page, the layout there. Ukko in the front, Slain as in purple shadow in the midground, and then the soldiers or whatever in the background. Fight scene. He's got his head off. Knee in the face. And then this blue guy shows up. Really love the lighting on here. Having a lot of this in shadow is really effective with the red background with the blue skin is really cool. Fucking blood sacrifice orgy or whatever's going on. It's nice. Nice. Whoa, look at that. Gorgeous. Almost looks like a classical fucking Renaissance era painting or something. Almost. With a red coming off. Kapunch. Look at this. I think he used an airbrush for the shadow and the highlight, and then maybe acrylics or something for the blues. But that's really nice rendering on the skin there, the hand and everything. As here and there. The ghouls. And that's just fucking cool. Good shit, man. Good shit. And then I think this looks like where Dermot Power has come in, who's the guy who did the cover artwork. Because it looks a lot more bold than Glenn Fabry usually does. And then Dermot Power, this whole chapter is by him. Still very good, but it does feel a little bit more sort of just bold, I guess. Like he's almost at Fabry Bisley level, but not quite. In my dumble opinion, it's like humble, but it's stupid. Dumb humble. Those are two cool pages though. I like that sheet. I love the background there. The colours are really cool. Like, as I was going to say, I love the bold blue background, but I also really like blue, purple, orange sunset kind of background. The arm is pretty neat. Turquoise underglow, I'm a fan of that. I use that quite a lot myself. Black and white ink. If I waste my time. I'm not a fan of this style, man. This very, very, what I think is washes and airbrushes, if not mostly airbrush. There's something about it that's just too, I don't know. I don't know what it is exactly. Maybe it's the airbrush. It just doesn't sit comfortably with me. But then you got a nice Fabry cover to cleanse the palette. We like that. We like that a lot. Not sure on this part particularly how much I really want to do to the bones. If I want to leave them bold white or put in some kind of pinky, shadowy something. Look, he's got a penis, of course. Draw this in your style. Well, then he's going to have his penis flopping about, isn't he? See, just like I said, looking at that slaying that foot scene, if I was doing the foot up front, I'd make it huge. Because I don't have the confidence to try to do it normal size. But also because I want it to look big and bold and dynamic, innit? It's a choice, it's a design choice, it's not just an excuse. Oh, that line got away from me a bit, didn't it? I've still got Vas Deverance up on Google right next to me. That's funny. I'll remember that for later. I was thinking of doing something. I've seen a few videos of like draw along with me kind of videos where it's like 20-30 minutes drawing like an animal's head in ballpoint pen. The particular artists I've seen do this, I've seen in ballpoint, I assume, because I do ballpoint, so that's what comes up on my feed or what have you. And I was thinking of maybe just completely stealing that idea and doing that. Is that the sort of thing people would be into? If it's literally just me drawing an animal head or whatever. Or, I'll try to make them more ewan style, so penises. And I, explain what I'm doing as I'm doing it. Sort of go along with it all. Like a draw along. Hey, let's all hang out and draw along with ewan. Do. Could be cool. I don't know. That'd be fun. Something to do. I don't know how well Posca goes over other inks. I might have to revert to Tipex, but the Tipex gets a bit messy. Is the issue there? And obviously I can draw around the edges of it, so yeah. I'll make it work, obviously. Just saying. I'm also aware that, similarly when, podcasts and TV and movies and things talk about podcasts and TV, and if you have a podcast talking about podcasts, you have a comedian talking about comedy, or whatever, an artist talking about art. Sometimes it can be fun. I think maybe it entirely depends on the person and the context and whatever. But I do try not to have all of my podcast episodes be about, me talking about, this is how I feel about my podcast. And it's like, well, shut up and just do a thing on the podcast instead of, it's not about you, and stop making it about yourself. I just wanted to say, if you feel the last few episodes and occasionally other episodes can get a bit meh, for lack of a better term, I just want to let you know I'm aware it's not something that happens in a vacuum. It's not like I put the episodes out and I don't care. If there's a bad episode, I don't give a shit. I just record them and then forget about them. Like, I feel it. If it's potentially a bad episode or maybe a less funny episode, I feel it. I understand. I feel it. I know it can happen. I know where it comes from. Wow. Exhilarating. Yeah, I think that could be fun. The draw along with me videos. Could be just a bit of fun, something to do. Something. It's annoying that like everything I do, I can't help but have the thought. It's not like I try to think about it this way. It just, the thought crops up where every single thing I do, I have to then think afterwards, maybe this will be the thing that propels me to like the mainstream or whatever, or prepares me into, you know, internet virality, or pulls in the big numbers that starts making the real money or whatever. I don't like thinking like that, but I really can't help it. Those thoughts just appear, which is how thoughts work. So when I think, those, the first thought is, those draw along videos seem fun. Like I'd even maybe like to take part in a couple of those by other people. Maybe even do my own. That could be quite a fun thing to do. Then it's not too dissimilar from my podcast, but I'm drawing one thing and the video is just about drawing that one thing, and that's it. It's not necessarily a tutorial, but it's just hang out and draw. That's how the thought process goes for that. And then thus I've told you, because I'm like, hey, I had this thought. It could be quite a cool thing just to do in general. Then the thought comes, what if I start doing those and they become really popular, and that's where all the views start coming from, and then I become world famous. And at this point, like it used to be, as I've spoken about before, of being obsessed with David Cho and wanting that level of like fame, wanting to be in a David Cho position, if not flat out wanting to be David Cho. That's what it used to be. I want that. I want to be looked at and admired in the way that people look at and admire David Cho. But these days, I honestly, obviously I want my art to be recognised as being as fucking amazing as it is. But these days specifically, and maybe it's just because I've spent so much time cooped up, through the pandemic and my own whatever, I'm not sure I could stand to be, I don't know if I could take it like physically. I don't think my body could take being like actual famous. If I had to go loads of places and do loads of things, I think more recently my ideal is like a what I can see or what I'm absolutely making up just from available evidence of how Kim Jong-gi as his system works. Where for one thing he's got his agency, his whatever they're called, that the people who represent him, that guy. I assume, this is completely thinking on my own with no real research or evidence, but I assume people contact the agency or the agency contacts people. Hey, we'd love to have Kim Jong-gi come and draw for us. Set it up, and then they set it up, and then they go, Kim, this month we're flying out to wherever, and you're going to draw, and you'll get paid for it, and whatever. And then he does it. That seems ideal, because if I have someone taking care of everything that isn't the drawing, if I can just focus on the drawing, then it's fine. That's why the first time I took part in that drawing competition, the Illustrated World Series, was the best. Because I showed up, I sat down and drew pictures. I came second, which was surprising and great, and a little disappointing. But it was great because I showed up, I sat down and draw pictures, and then go home afterwards, and that was the end of it. Whereas the next one, because of quarantines and stuff, was done remotely, so I had to set everything up on my own, record everything, upload it, and it was a whole stressful mess personally, where I'd much rather have, rather than the David Cho level of fame, to have someone take care of it all, to be like, Ewan, these people want you to draw here, do you want to do it? And I'll say, yeah, sure, let's go there and do the drawing, and then come home, and then it's all good. Just someone to take care of the difficult parts of everything but the drawing. And I'm aware agencies exist, and it's possible to get taken on by an illustration agency, but I've not tried lately, but the amount of times I've tried that and been rejected, it's very disheartening. And it's always, I still feel the same way of like, I don't feel that my work really fits into most illustration agencies, ideals and what they do and the clients they take on and stuff, especially since I don't work digitally. I think that's a large part of illustration nowadays. But that would be the dream. To be just famous enough that you've got people to take care of all the difficult parts. And then you can just get flown places. And I don't even care about travelling, but if the way I can make money is to be flown places and draw, then so be it. And then it gets me out of the house. I talk to people, which is probably healthy. Money's taken care of, which means I don't have to deal with the money too much, and that's a thing. And then collect sketches, put them in a book. Have someone else deal with the sales so I don't have to carry hundreds of books to the post office. Of course, maybe it just makes me sound lazy, which is fair, but I don't know. We all want a little help sometimes, don't we? Because there's a great sense of achievement in being a fully independent artist, and I do feel that from time to time of being that I am just about making it as on my own as I can. Sometimes I do have a genuine sense of achievement for doing that. But sometimes I really could do with just a little bit of help. Even if I wanted it, help in general comes at a price. So I'm not in a position to have that currently. But maybe one day, Maybe it'll be the draw along videos. Maybe that'll be the thing. That'll tip the boat, tip the balance. That'll be the thing that tips the tip top to the tip top. I can't even remember that song. Hip hop, hibbity the hibbity hip hip hop. You don't stop the rocker to the bang bang boogie. So up jump the boogie to the rhythm of the boogie to beat. Now what you hear is not a test. I'm rapping to the beat, and me, my crew, and my friends are gonna try to move your feet. You see, I am Wonder Mike, and I'd like to say hello. Keep it rock to the white, the red, and the brown, the purple and yellow. But first you gotta bang bang the rhythm to the boogie. So up jump the rhythm to the bang bang boogie. Let's rock. You don't stop. Rock the rhythm that'll make your body rock.